We just went live on Facebook in case anyone wants to know.
Is Councilman Bliss there? I don't see him.
Yeah, I'm
He
here.
is.
Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry, Mark, I didn't see you.
Bob Corbett's not going to be joining us tonight.
Yes, someone's going to need to make a motion to excuse him.
Hi, Mark.
Do we have both the Shermans and Nick on today?
Yeah,
Full house.
we didn't have anything to do tonight, so we decided to join the party.
Wonderful. More the merrier. All right, we'll get started in a minute. Okay, if everybody is ready, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is the regularly scheduled meeting for July 13th. The time is 7:30. Clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Yes. Councilman Bliss?
I'm here.
Councilwoman Clark?
Here.
Councilman Corbett? Councilor Rohrbach?
Here.
Councilman Soltis?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Greifstein?
I'm here. Can I please have a motion to excuse Councilman Corbett? He did give notice.
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Councilman Soltis.
support, please.
Thank you. Do we need to vote on this? Clerk?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please take a roll call vote to excuse Councilman Corbett?
Yes. Councilwoman Clark?
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach?
Yes.
Councilman Soltis?
Yes.
Councilman Bliss?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Greifstein?
Yes. Thank you. It has been approved. Our invocation this evening is from Councilman Bliss, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Bliss?
Dear wise and loving Heavenly Father, let me first thank you in advance for the thoughts, comments, and concerns from those who are with us here tonight. Also, thank you for all of the outstanding leaders in our schools, our community groups, and all across our city who are working to raise up this community with every single bit of their effort. Loving Heavenly Father, I come to you this hour asking for your blessings and help as we're gathered here tonight. I pray that you guide our counsel in the matters at hand, and I ask you clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Help us to work together to encourage each other to excellence as we focus on making this community even more prosperous with each and every passing day. Amen.
Stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Bliss.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we will move on to presentations and public hearings. First public hearing is regarding Ordinance 2157, the zoning ordinance amendment to locate licenses and approved adult use marijuana. The public hearing and second reading. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, City Council is scheduled to hold a public hearing tonight regarding Ordinance 2157 to effectuate the adult use marijuana establishments. Following the public hearing, City Council will be considering the adoption of this ordinance on second reading. As part of the process of considering the adult use marijuana establishments ordinance, we have drafted two minor zoning ordinance amendments that will effectuate the adult use marijuana establishment ordinance. The Planning Commission considered these proposed zoning ordinance amendments on May the 27th and conducted the required public hearing on June the 16th. Pursuant to state law, city ordinance, and the charter, the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to City Council regarding any zoning ordinance amendments, and ultimately, City Council determines whether or not to pass the zoning ordinance. On June the 16th, the Planning Commission moved to recommend that City Council adopt the amendment to Ordinance 2157. Should a majority of City Council desire to approve this proposed zoning ordinance amendment, then the appropriate motion would be to adopt Ordinance 2157 on second reading.
Okay, thank you. So are we opening the meeting to the public now then? Yes, okay,
Yes.
So the meeting is now open to the public. This is not the time for council comments, but if there's anyone in the public who would like to speak regarding specifically the ordinance 2157, this is your time. We will do the best to accommodate you. Please be patient with us as we still navigate Zoom. It's open to the public. Okay, I am seeing no one. All right, this portion of the meeting is closed. Thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
I move that we adopt Ordinance 2157 on second reading.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach.
I second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt Ordinance 2157 on second reading. Is there discussion? Council discussion? All right, clerk, can you please take a vote? Roll
Yes.
call.
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Soltis,
No.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Yes. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you. Next up, we have Ordinance 2157, zoning ordinance, the amendment to locate medical marijuana caregiver growing operations. This is the public hearing and second reading. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, City Council is scheduled to hold a public hearing regarding Ordinance 2158, a zoning ordinance amendment to locate medical marijuana caregiver grow operations. Following the public hearing, City Council will be considering the adoption of this ordinance on second reading. On April 27th of 2020, the Michigan Supreme Court issued a decision in the case of DeRuyter versus the Township of Byron and held that municipalities may lawfully establish locations where medical marijuana caregivers must be located within a municipality. Prior to this decision, the relevant case law in Michigan had been that a municipality could not regulate or dictate where medical marijuana caregivers could establish a grow operation within the municipality. Thus, prior to this recent Michigan Supreme Court decision, registered Michigan medical marijuana caregivers could essentially operate from any location they desired within the municipality in the state. Because the Michigan Supreme Court has ruled that municipalities can place limitations on where medical marijuana caregivers can cultivate marijuana within the municipality, we are presenting for your consideration a proposed zoning ordinance that restricts the locations of medical marijuana caregiver grows to the already established green zones in the city. The green zone map takes into consideration and is based on maintaining adequate separation distances of those areas from school buildings, churches, family child care homes, group child care homes, and residential districts where residential units are located. This map is identical to the map approved by City Council for medical marijuana facilities and is also identical to the map that was presented for City Council in defining where adult use marijuana establishments can be located in the city. In addition, the proposed amendment adds several other conditions that must be adhered to by caregivers if they locate to one of the approved parcels. These conditions are consistent with and complement the Medical Marijuana Act, also known as the MMMA, and are thus permissible conditions pursuant to the decision in DeRuyter versus Township of Byron. The Planning Commission considered this proposed zoning ordinance amendment on May the 27th and conducted the required public hearing on June the 16th. Pursuant to state law, city ordinance, and charter, The Planning Commission moved to recommend that council adopt the proposed zoning ordinance amendment after it held the required public hearing. Should a majority of City Council desire to approve this proposed zoning ordinance amendment, then an appropriate motion would be to adopt Ordinance 2158 at second reading.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to open this up as the public hearing for our public. If there's anyone in our public who would like to comment on this, this would be the time. Okay, I'm not seeing anything from the public, so this portion is now closed. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I move that we adopt ordinance 2158 at second reading.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark?
I'll second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 2158 on second reading. Is there discussion? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilman Soltis.
Yes.
Councilman Bliss.
yes.
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Great. Next up, we have meeting open to the public. This is the opportunity for anyone in the public who would like to speak to do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you identify yourself and an address or any affiliation you have with the city. Meeting is open to the public. Looking to see if there's anybody. Okay, I am not seeing anybody.
No, there is.
So there is, okay.
There is Ian.
Ian, okay.
Raised.
Apologies, Ian.
Yes. Hi,
Please.
my name is
Ian Barber. Go ahead.
Ian Barber. I'm a lifelong resident of Madison Heights. I currently live on 1247 Fontaine. And I just wanted to speak as a resident of Madison Heights, the importance of currently I'm seeing that with the vacant mayoral spot that we should try to get that filled as soon as possible with someone with the experience and leadership that someone that Councilman Mark Bliss has shown, having spent 4 years as Mayor Pro Tem. He has shown his ability to work with everyone on council, showing the ability to find within budgets to have cuts and able to have negotiations. And I think right now, given how we have businesses here that council's been working on, I think we need a good sense of leadership. And I would really hope to see that city council goes ahead and tries to fill this mayor spot as soon as possible. And I personally, as a lifelong resident of Heights, I would like to see our next mayor be Councilman Mark Bliss.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight at public comment? This would be the time.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Hello, hi, I'm sorry, I don't see you. Can you?
Yes, this is Bill Nalu.
Oh, yes, please go ahead, Mr. Naylor.
How are you all doing this evening? I just wanted to chime in on something that I heard at the last meeting that was frankly appalling. It was disgraceful. It was a resident that, and I'm paraphrasing at this point, that asked the male council members to search their souls and elect a woman because, as I understood it, there are too many white men that are involved. Need I remind everyone that the first mayor in this fine city's history was a female, that we've had councils where there were 6 women to 1 man? Aren't we past this point already? Why do we have to do this? And I understand it's certainly nobody here. This is not the council, but I would urge all of you, the gentlemen on this council, to stand up for yourselves, to stand up for your sons. Enough of this garbage. And I would ask that that our fine women defend these honorable men. I can't imagine the world that we're about to hand our sons if this country that adopted me some 40 years ago is going to be a country that is going to sort of commit suicide on this white guilt narrative. I assure you, America is not a racist country. It's not a sexist country. If you haven't traveled, if you haven't come from somewhere that is even more imperfect than this imperfect country of ours, I can assure you, you will understand what I'm saying. And so I appeal to you, when you hear that kind of stuff, let's be courageous, and let's stand up for men, for women, for our children, for all Americans. And let's be done with this nonsense of skin pigmentation and this attack on, the stuff that you hear every single day, that our colleges are rape cultures, and that our police officers are brutalizing fellow citizens. They are fellow citizens. I've just about had enough of it. I just can't take it anymore, to be honest with you. It's crazy. And so that's really all I want to say. And any of you deserve to become the next mayor here. You're all fine people, but let's not disqualify people on things that they can't do anything about, namely their gender and their skin color. I thought we were beyond this already. Let's get beyond this already. That's all I'll say. All of you folks have a great evening.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak this evening? Public comment?
Yes, Mayor.
Mr. Austin? Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Austin. You have
Make
the
sure
floor.
I'm saying this right. Is it Mayor Pro? I always mess this up. Ms. Grafton, is it Mayor Pro Tem Grafton? Am I saying that right?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein, yes.
Grafton, I am so sorry. Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Just got just a brief, just a comment to the board. Some of you I know very well, others I are beginning to know. And it's just a word of encouragement to the board. You all have a very, very tremendous job. And as the more and more I kind of interface with everybody and get to know you all, I come more and more to appreciate the job that each and every one of you have to do as a collective board. So I'm just, I rarely pop in, and I was trying not to show my ugly face, but I just want to pop in real quickly and just say that I continue to encourage you all, continue to work together. You are leading us through unprecedented times, and you're leading us through times that require hard leadership. And we as your public, and I'm Tony Austin from 28675 Cousins, sorry about that, Avenue. You're leading us through hard times, and we'll follow you. Just make sure, I would just ask, no matter ups and downs, continue just to work together and lead us as a collective unit. So my hearts and prayers are with you all, and just continue to drive forward. And I'm gonna get off and then take my ugly face off here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Not ugly at all. For those of you who are not aware, Tony Austin is the voice of Lamphere. He is on the school board, and he is the announcer at pretty much every event I think I've ever been to. So thank you, Mr. Austin, for your words. Thank you for joining us this evening. Is there anyone else who would like to speak this evening? Going once, going twice. All right, we will close this section of public comment. Next up, communication.
There was one more person.
Oh.
Mr. Jennifer had her hand raised.
Apologies, I missed that. I'm sorry, Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
I'm just a little confused. I thought this issue about you serving as mayor pro tem was resolved at the last meeting. So I'm not sure why we're still talking about this right now. So that's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? All right, okay. Meeting is closed to the public. We are on to communications. First up, we have a resignation from the Arts Board from Kristen Bianchi and Allison Charneski. Do we need to take a vote to accept these resignations? Make a motion? Yeah, okay.
You
So-
need to take a vote and declare the seats vacant.
Okay, thank you. So what is the wish of council?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of these two Arts Board members.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
I second, and I would ask that it be amended to also declare these seats vacant.
Okay. Councilwoman Clark, is
Of
that what you
course.
approve?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
wonderful. Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to accept these two resignations and to declare these two seats vacant. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
just really quick, I would like us to do a special thank you and congratulatory resolution to Kristen. She was one of the, I guess, OG original members of the Arts Board when we first founded, served as our vice chair for many years, served as our chair. And so I just want to make sure that she gets something at a future meeting where we can, take the few minutes to recognize all the great work that she's done for our city.
I think that would be great, and hopefully we can do that in person. But yes, I think that's a great idea. Thank you. Is there any other discussion from council members?
Just that now, like, first of all, the work of Kirsten Bianchi was absolutely amazing. She's one of the most inspirational women you'll ever meet. But being on the Arts Board is very exciting. And we're also going to be looking for a chair. So I know we have a lot of residents out there who are interested in getting involved in these quality of life programs. Now is a great opportunity to do it. We have 2 vacant spots ready, and we have lots of work to do.
Great, thank you. Is there any other discussion? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilman Clark,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Soltis. Councilman Soltis,
Sorry, yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Resignations are accepted and the seats are now vacant. Next up, we have reports. First one from the police chief, entertainment permit agreement, MHIT Holdings LLC, which is doing business as Irish Tavern at 29028 Campbell Road. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes. MHIT Holdings LLC, doing business as the Irish Tavern, located at 29028 Campbell Road, is requesting an agreement for an entertainment permit for the purposes of serving alcohol outdoors and providing entertainment, which shall be karaoke, video trivia, and an occasional solo guitarist. Recently, City Council passed a resolution to assist businesses with social distancing and relax the outdoor seating and liquor sales rules until October the 4th. This entertainment permit would allow for items to be included, such as karaoke, video trivia, and the guitarist, and would require a special use permit for outdoor alcohol sales to be extended beyond the October 4th date. If council concurs, the appropriate action would be to approve the agreement for entertainment for 1 year, with the next review to take place on or after April 27th of 2021, and authorize the city clerk and mayor pro tem to sign on behalf of the city.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach, I believe.
Yeah, that was me. I move that we approve the agreement for entertainment for 1 year with the next review to take place on or after April 27th, 2021, and authorize the city clerk and mayor pro tem to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
I'll second.
Great, thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the entertainment agreement permit for Irish Tavern. What is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
just really quick for those watching who haven't visited Irish Tavern yet, they're in for a treat when they finally go. My family and I fell in love with that restaurant throughout quarantine. They had the unfortunate experience of opening up right before the pandemic, which for any small restaurant that's just getting off the ground, any small business at all, that's the worst time, but particularly for restaurants and bars like this one is. They ended up completely reinventing their business model. They had one of the most impressive carryout, I guess, creative daily specials with their carryout, and became a local hotspot for carryout. And they've now transitioned into making sure that their dine-in is one of the safest in the region. A news crew even did an entire story on it. So if you haven't checked them out, I encourage you to do so. Supporting our small businesses, particularly those restaurants in our community right now, given the pandemic, is critically important. So if you are in the mood for a burger or something, definitely hit them up.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, next up under reports number 2, City Clerk, the resolution authorizing the emergency relocation of Precinct 2. Mrs. March, do you have a report?
Yes, the Korean First Central United Methodist Church, located in Precinct 2, notified the city clerk on Wednesday, July the 8th, that their building was closed and not accessible for the August 4th and the November 3rd elections. City Council is asked to approve the resolution authorizing the emergency change of the polling location of Precinct 2 for Madison Heights for August 4th and November 3rd elections to the Madison Heights Active Adult Center.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the moving of the location of Precinct 2 from the Korean First Central United Methodist Church to the Madison Heights Active Adult Center. I apologize.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Councilman Soltis.
support.
Great, thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the emergency relocation of Precinct 2 to the Active Adult Center. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
just a quick question for the clerk. Why was the Active Adult Center chosen versus other polling locations? I guess namely Wilkinson might be the option.
We already have 3 precincts at Wilkinson, and I did speak to the superintendent, and he did not want us to add another precinct there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
yes, so I just wanted to ask a question of Cheryl. I know that these precincts moving and getting into other spaces is causing, obviously, a lot more people are going to be showing up to vote in these places. Is the Election Commission in need of more volunteers? Are we thinking that there's going to be any delay in voting that's going to cause any inconveniences for our residents that we need to be prepared for?
Currently, we are about to approve our election inspectors tomorrow at our meeting. I currently have enough workers to staff all the precincts fully, so I do not expect that. In addition, which I was going to mention in my comments, but I'll just mention it now. In 2016, we had a total of 1,500 absentee ballots for the similar election, and we've already issued 4,500 absentee ballots for this election. So I expect the turnout in person to be smaller than normal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Clerk, can you just comment, the election we had in 2019, it was my understanding we normally have about a third of our votes are done by absentee. This time around it flipped. There was about 2/3 absentee. Would that sound about right? That we're really seem to be moving towards a trend of having more absentee ballots?
I don't have the number in front of me. I could get it by the end of the meeting, but
That's okay.
yes, that's about right.
The trend. Okay. Yeah. Don't worry about getting back. I just, but I do have a concern that it's only a few weeks away. It's less than a month away, and that people are going to show up. There's going to be signage there, I'm hoping. Yes. Okay.
There's going to be signage, and we actually still have enough time to send first class mailing to every resident that's in that precinct.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that. I'm gonna, I would have to wait for council's approval tonight, but that'll be going approved tomorrow. And so it's all ready to go. I've already talked to our sign shop to do the signs. We'll have signs on the doors on election day as well at the precincts that have been moved. I've talked to the newspaper. They're gonna do an article for me.
Oh.
So, and we'll be doing Facebook postings.
Mayor
Okay.
Pro Tem Grafstein.
Councilwoman Clark.
May I also suggest, and I'm not sure if you guys have ever done this before, but doing some targeted ads on Facebook, which will target like the people in our city who we would want to know that, and so that they might see it there as well and like by in passing.
Sure.
Okay, great. Good idea. Okay, is there any more discussion from council? Okay, seeing none. Clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilor Rurak.
Yes.
Councilman Soltis.
Yes.
Councilman Bliss.
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work on that. Okay, next up we have bid awards purchases. Number 1 from the fire chief, purchase of a Lucas 3 chest compression system. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
Yes, the fiscal year 2021 budget includes the purchase of 2 Lucas 3 chest compression systems for the frontline fire engines. This purchase would be made through the Oakland County bulk purchasing price, waiving the formal bid process and the award purchase of these 2 chest compression systems through Stryker Medical in an amount not to exceed $32,319.24. While all capital purchases in the fiscal year 2021 budget are on hold pending budget clarity, this purchase is allowable for reimbursement through the CARES Act at the Oakland County level. Therefore, we are requesting approval of this purchase and submittal of reimbursement through Oakland County.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilman Bliss.
I move that we approve the purchase of 2 new Lucas 3 chest compression systems from Stryker Medical. I think that the total amount of $32,319.24.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Your Honor,
Your Honor.
Councilman Soltis.
support, please.
Great, thank you. There's been a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the Lucas 3 chest compression systems from Stryker Medical in an amount not to exceed $32,319. Is there discussion?
Your Honor,
Mr. Sherman?
I would ask that the maker of the motion and support agree to include in the motion that we're waiving the formal bid process.
Okay, please.
Consider it included in mine.
Yes.
Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for clarifying that. Is there any other discussion?
Your Honor,
Councilman Soltis?
is the fire chief on?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Is he able to kind of elaborate on what this item is? I mean, besides,
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein. Yes, this accompanies our 2 Lucas chest compression systems that we have in our rescues right now. This will be housed on both fire engine at Station 1 and Station 2. So it's just another tool for us to use during a cardiac arrest that frees a firefighter up to do a firefighter paramedic to do other tasks. Chest compressions are very difficult to do high quality chest compressions. Firefighters get fatigued. Lucas doesn't get fatigued. It runs like 45 minutes on a battery life, and it gives the proper chest compressions and the proper blood flow to vital organs. So it's a great tool that we have with us, and it's going to be a great asset to have on the ALS fire engines.
Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Yeah, can I ask real quick, in the back of the truck, you're bouncing around. Now, these are stabilized, I assume, and that it won't necessarily slip as it's doing compressions?
That is correct, and that's I thank you for bringing that up. Yes, the device is strapped down; it doesn't move around. But this also makes it more safe for the firefighter that they can sit down seat belted during a transport of a cardiac arrest. Because back, several years ago, before we had these devices on the rescue, the firefighters had to stand up while driving down the road, making turns, unseat belted in. So it's very dangerous. So this also adds safety to the while transporting the patient to the hospital.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I have a question. What do we currently have now? Do we have the Lucas 3 right now? Is that what we currently?
I believe the ones we have right now they're Lucas 2.
The 2.
They're almost the same exact thing. There might be some software changes to the device, but we have one on both frontline rescues. So we'll have 4 total after this purchase.
Okay, thank you. So back in the fall, Councilman Corbett and I were doing the Oakway fire training, and it was actually our ambulance, it was our EMT, and it was our Lucas that we used for the demonstration. And I had the honor of riding in the back, and I give you guys a lot of credit riding backwards, trying to keep your balance while that's happening, and having that compression. For those of you who aren't aware, because I wasn't aware until I did this, it's basically a loop, and the person lies down on it, and they're getting the chest compression. So instead of having somebody manually pushing on them, this sets up, and as the chief said, it's got a battery and it goes for about 45 minutes. So I wholeheartedly agree that we need this. Anything we can do to support our firefighters and our emergency personnel. So thank you for that explanation, that clarification.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Soltis.
Yes.
Councilman Bliss.
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Greifstein.
Yes, that passes 5-0. Thank you. And thank you, Chief, for being here tonight virtually. All right, next up are ordinances. First up is Ordinance 2162, the amendment to the tree ordinance. This would be the second reading. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a report?
At the direction of City Council to increase our commitment and strengthen and increase the city's tree canopy, City staff is interested in applying to become a Tree City USA. In order to complete the application, the city needs to amend the current tree ordinance. This amendment includes the addition of the definitions for public ways, private and public trees, revise prohibited trees to follow the Michigan Natural Resource Environmental Protection Act, and formally add a tree department, which shall be the Environmental Citizens Committee and/or the Department of Public Services. Staff and I recommend approval of Ordinance 2162 on second reading.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Mayor Pro Tem Greifstein.
Councilwoman Clark.
I would like to make a motion to approve Ordinance 2162 on second reading.
Great, thank you. Is there support?
Your Honor.
Councilor Rohrbach.
I support.
Great, thank you. There's been a motion and a second to approve Ordinance 2162, amendment to the tree ordinance on second reading. Is there discussion? Okay, I will just throw in my 2 cents then. I think this is great. I think that we all see the benefits of trees. There's a lot of benefits that come about when we, if we can become a tree city. And I'll mention this in closing comments, but we actually talked about this morning at the ECC, and trees are really important for a variety of reasons. So I, again, wholeheartedly, I will be voting yes on this. Other discussion? All right, Clark, can you please take a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilman Bliss.
Yes.
Councilman Clark.
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach.
Yes.
Councilman Soltis.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabstein.
I vote yes, this passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, next up, Ordinance 2161, the prohibition of conversion therapy, reparative therapy, or the equivalent. This is the first reading. Mrs. Marsh, do you have a
Yes,
report?
Ordinance 2161 amends ordinance number 571, being an ordinance to codify and adopt a new code of ordinances for the city of Madison Heights by amending chapter 16 titled Minors, Article 1, titled in general, and sections 16.6 through 16.15, titled Reserves of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Madison Heights, to prohibit a healthcare provider from treating and or engaging in the practice of conversion therapy, reparative therapy, or their equivalent, to change a minor's sexual orientation or gender identity, including but not limited to efforts to change behavior or gender expression, or to reduce or eliminate sexual or romantic attractions or feelings towards an individual of the same gender. The treatments and or practices prescribed herein do not include counseling that provides assistance to a minor undergoing a gender transition, counseling that provides acceptance, support, or understanding of a minor, or facilitates a minor's coping, social support, or identity exploration and development, including neutral intervention to prevent or address unlawful conduct or unsafe sexual practices, or counseling that does not seek to change the sexual orientation or gender identity. A healthcare provider who violates this article is guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment of not more than 90 days or a fine of not more than $500 or both. A healthcare provider who violates this article is guilty of a misdemeanor published by, I think I've said that already once. Should a majority of City Council desire to approve this proposed ordinance to prohibit conversion therapy, reparative therapy, or their equivalent, then the appropriate motion would be to adopt Ordinance 2161 on first reading.
Great, thank you. What is the wish of council?
Your Honor,
Councilman Soltis.
I'd like to make a motion that the council adopt ordinance 2161, prohibition on conversion therapy, reparative therapy, or the equivalent on first read, please.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
a second.
Great, thank you. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt on first reading ordinance number 2161, the prohibition of conversion therapy, reparative therapy, or the equivalent. Is there discussion?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
Mr. Sherman.
Yeah, thank you. Since I drafted this ordinance, I'd like council to think about it in these terms. How much conversion therapy would be required to change your orientation? And the answer is no amount of therapy could change it. And that's how gay people feel about it. No amount of therapy is going to change their orientation. And as such, they shouldn't be forced to undergo such therapy. I was recently speaking to a psychologist, and she informed me that she's counseling a young man who, in her words, is on the ledge because of his family's opposition to him coming out. And that's a terrible situation. And this ordinance would address such a. So no one should be forced to undergo something that can't be changed anyway. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Love is love. You know, some people think that you can choose who you love. Some people think it's you're born with it. It's love, and what you feel and how you feel. It's not hurting anyone. It's nobody's business. What goes on between consenting adults? It's nobody's business. And to basically torture someone, a child, to change their mind about how they're feeling, $500 isn't enough. That's not enough. So thank you, Councilman Soltis, for bringing this up. Is there any other discussion? Any other council members?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark?
Yeah, hi. So I'd just like to thank Dave too for bringing it up. And it's not the first time that he's done it, but it's the first time that council has voted on it. And I just want our residents who are watching and who might watch this later to know that with human rights at the top of everybody's mind right now, your city council is taking a deep dive into what this looks like for our legislature. So we want to make sure that we have to say these things out loud because they are problems in regular normalized society, and it's unacceptable. So for us to take a stand and say that it will not be accepted here in our city, it's a big deal and it's a big step because change starts locally and then it grows globally. So if we can do something like this, taking a deep dive into some of our other ordinances and laws to see where it is we can make sure that people get equal rights here in our city will be a really big deal for us.
Thank you.
Your Honor,
Councilman Soltis.
I just want to briefly say I appreciate the comments from council, and I want to thank our legal counsel, the Shermans, for drafting this ordinance. I think they did a fantastic job. We've been talking about it for a little while, Jeff. I know, and finally now we got it here to vote on, at least for the first reading. And I think this is unprecedented. I don't, correct me, there's only been a couple cities around that have this. I think I'm sorry.
There are a few cities that have it.
Yeah, but far and few between.
Yeah, very few. I mean, there you have Ferndale who has it, and I believe that Huntington Woods adopted it. But it's good to me to be among those cities that have progressive thinking.
Sure.
Do the right thing.
Sure, and my thought was that the more cities get involved, then they can take it up at the state level. So, thank you.
Thank you, and that's a really good point that you've made there. So we've just finished June, and June is Pride Month, and I believe that our state has yet to recognize that. Why? And perhaps as more cities start to realize this and realize that there is this oppression and that this is just, it's a way of life for people that's none of your business, that maybe at some point we can change this at the state level, maybe by next year, maybe by next June. So yes, as more cities come upon, and I'm happy to be in support of this for our city. Is there anyone else on council? Any other comments regarding this? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Councilor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
I vote yes, it's unanimous, 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Okay, unfinished business, boards and commissions. Are there any appointments this evening? Boards and commissions?
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach?
I would like to move that we appoint Eve Sandoval to the Environmental Citizens Committee.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein?
Councilwoman Clark?
I'll second.
Great, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to appoint Eve Sandoval to the vacant seat on the Environmental Citizens Committee. Is there any discussion?
I do have one comment. So typically we have an application from the person. Eve has been serving as the alternate on this board, and she's very active. She has started the Bloom Project. She did the Seed Library. She's just a go-getter on this board. So, and she's only been serving in the alternate capacity. So that's why it's being brought forth now. The other appointments are going to be handled in August as our new typical plan. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman?
Your
Are
Honor.
there terms, is there a term for the seat that if approved, Ms. Sandoval?
I believe it is February 2023.
That's correct. It's February 28th, 2023. And then I asked they also declare the alternate seat vacant.
All right. Are the maker and support okay with the change to have this term finishing in February 2023 and declaring the seat vacant?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Your Honor, I heard Ms. Rohrbach agreed. Did we get an okay on the maker of the motion?
We did. Councilwoman Clark, can you just say okay again? I think. Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't hear. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we had our environmental committee meeting this morning, and as Mrs. Marsh said, Eve has been very active, and she is an alternate. And with the council meeting this evening, I thought it would be appropriate to do this. So thank you for the motion. If there's no further discussion, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Councilman Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next up, minutes. We have the minutes from the regular city council meeting of June 22nd, 2020. I have a motion to approve the minutes.
Your Honor,
Councilor Rohrbach.
I move that we approve the regular council meeting minutes from June 22nd of 2020.
Thank you. Is there support?
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein,
Councilwoman Clark.
I'll support.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to approve the regular city council meetings of June 22nd, 2020. Is there any discussion from council? All right, clerk, can you please take a roll call vote?
Councilman Soltis,
Yes.
Councilman Bliss,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark,
Yes.
Counselor Rohrbach,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grafstein.
I vote yes, motion carries. Thank you. All right, seeing how there is no more business before the council this evening, I invite council to have closing comments. Normally we start off with Councilman Soltis, not with Councilman Corbett, but he is not here this evening. So Mr. Bliss, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few things this evening. First up, this is not my first Zoom meeting today. We had the ribbon cutting for the 4 DIA pieces as a part of the Inside Out program. We did that ribbon cutting just before this meeting. You had a little bit of technical difficulties. You could probably fast forward to the first 4 minutes of that thing if you're going to watch it now after the fact. But it's a lot of fun and honestly a huge source of pride for us as a community, because this program has been going on for 10 years. This is the 11th year. More than 100 communities have participated. This is the first time Madison Heights has made the cut. And that's due to what I would call Herculean efforts from members of our arts board, including, and I have to give the shout out, Kirsten Bianchi, who was the chair that we just accepted her resignation. She was instrumental in this. Also want to call out Amber Platsky, our vice chair, and Amy Misak, the liaison, the staff liaison to the arts board, did a lot of work on this as well. And so shout outs to them. They did a phenomenal job, as did all of the arts board, to be able to make this possible. I encourage every resident to drop by. The 4 different locations are Rosie's Park, Civic Center Park, our library, and Woodpile Barbecue. And you can hit them in that order. That way you finish this art journey with some great barbecue. Second thing, I would like to formally request that ITAC look into the police body cameras. This is something that's been on the to-do list for a while. At the last ITAC meeting several months ago, we had talked about setting that up for our next meeting. I would like them to be able to review the technology, to be able to have an active discussion with the chief as we're getting set to be able to implement those this year. I just want to make sure that we've got that review. We can do it as a joint meeting with our existing crime commission if we'd like, but I'd really like us to be able to dig into that. And I think further, as was mentioned earlier, we're in unprecedented times. This is a challenging landscape, and I think now more than ever, being able to lean on new and modern technology is going to be critical for all of our city departments. And so I'd love to be able to have an active discussion with more department heads than just in the public safety and ITAC, and hopefully we can get some brainstorming in there about some new and emerging technology. As with Councilman Soltis's ordinance recommendation earlier today, we're one of only a few communities locally. We're one of only the few communities that have ITAC, and I'd like for us to be able to really leverage that. I think that it's important for us to get out ahead, and I'd love to be using technology that other communities near us aren't, because honestly, we are the city of progress after all. That's the name, and it's important that we live up to that by adopting those technologies, by being able to utilize it to further our ability to enhance the quality of life of our residents. Particularly in this time where we don't have as many boots on the ground, we don't have the staff resources that we would normally have to pull some ideas off. We need to do two things as it relates to that. We have to really lean on our boards and commissions, the active and exciting members of our communities who volunteer their time to make this a better place. I want us to be doing more of that, to really, really utilize each and every one of our boards and commissions the way that they need to be utilized. And honestly, if we need to go through the same exercise we did a couple years ago and review those individual boards and commissions, then let's do it. We need to make sure that we're being able to leverage all of those active and amazing members of the community. But secondly, we need to be leveraging modern technology. If we do those two things in these unprecedented times, I think we'll be able to come out ahead in this, just like we did with the Great Recession. That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilor Rohrbach.
Good evening. I want to say thank you to Eve Sandoval, as she's been appointed to the ECC. She's already been doing so much work in that area, and it is a pleasure to see someone so dedicated to the thing so much, which is gardening and environmental protections and improving the environment for herself and for everyone who lives in Madison Heights. And I really appreciate just kind of her passion coming to fruition for the city. So I'm thrilled that she is now the official member of that board. I want to also say thank you, especially to our librarians and the staff at the library. My family has been using the curbside pickup for books very often in the last couple of weeks, and it has been a great boon to our souls to have a new supply of books to be able to keep us entertained and busy. I also encourage anyone, it's still going. The summer reading program for the children is on, and it's a great little app that they have, and they give out these awesome activities for kids to do, like scavenger hunt type of things all over the city at the little free libraries and so forth. My children have been really enjoying it, and I just want to thank the library staff for putting that together and keeping it going and keeping us all with our brains moving forward all summer long. I also am excited about to see the continued progress on the mural at Rosie's Park. I really appreciate that Holistic Industries has come forward and helped to fund that. And the work that Jennifer Ramirez is doing there is just remarkable. And I'm really, really excited to see it all coming to completion pretty soon. I don't know what the exact time frame is on it, but I also wanted to address the fact that in this last week, I know we had a lot of folks that had some basement flooding and things like that happened with the big rain event last week. And I saw a lot of people asking and concerned about the flooding in the streets in the neighborhoods. And I know that it seems counterintuitive to many, but I've been learning more and more about water and sewers and things like that. And I just want to point out to residents that we have newer restricted drainage structure covers over the drains in the street for the purpose of keeping the water from overwhelming the system. And so what you'll see is there's more water in a big rain event like that stays in the street and does not as quickly come into the underground drains and affect folks in their basements. It seems strange, I know, and I know a lot of folks have, when they see it, they're like, my street is flooded. This is going to be a terrible thing. Sometimes when the street is flooded, what that means is that it's working properly. The drainage system is working properly, and the roadway has been designed with the protective feature in mind to keep the storm water from being stored underground and coming back up in the drains, but rather to be stored on the existing road and the catch basins on low points in the road system. If anyone has questions about that or how that works and why it works, I would recommend and encourage them to reach out to the staff to learn more. There are some fascinating reads on the websites, the city website, if you want to learn more about that and the city's plans as we continue to move forward on repairing roads in the neighborhoods. And so that is all tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And thank you for that explanation. All right, next up we have Mr. Sherman or Mr. Sherman.
The city attorneys do not have any comment this evening. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Marsh.
I do not have any comment this evening.
All right, clerk.
I'm going to make up for both of them. Okay, let's start with boards and commissions. We are approaching our renewals and applications process for the boards and commissions. We have several openings in the city, and I encourage anybody who's interested in applying for these committees or wants to renew their term to please do so. You can apply online. We have openings in the Community Development Block Grant Review Committee, Construction Board of Appeals, Elected Officials Compensation Commission, Environmental Citizens Committee, Historical Commission, Information Technology Advisory Committee, Library Advisory Board, Multicultural Relations Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Tax Board of Review, and Zoning Board of Appeals. So we have a wide variety of opportunities that can serve everybody's interests. If you have any questions, you can call the city clerk's office. I'd be happy to answer those questions. We do ask that you fill out one application for each board that you wish to apply for. You asked me earlier about the, Councilwoman Clark asked me earlier about the needs for election workers, and I was remiss by saying that we do need workers to work the absentee counting board in Oakland County at the Oakland Schools Conference Center. The county, as you know, the council approved them a counting of our absentee ballots for this election, and they are asking that we supply one worker for every 1,000 ballots that we send to them. I'm anticipating between 5,000 and 7,000 ballots, so I need 5 to 7 workers. I have several, but more are needed, and it'll take more than that too. Let's say they have almost 20 communities that are taking them up on their offer. I just want to remind the voters in Precinct 2 that they are not voting at the Korean Central United Methodist Church. They're going to the Active Adult Center. Precinct 6, which was Madison Solbrook Towers, is now voting at Madison Elementary. And Precinct 10, which was Simons Elementary, is now voting at John Page Middle School for the August 4th election. You can find the addresses and the locations and a map on our website for anybody that's interested. I will be updating the state system as well to reflect tonight's change. The other 2 changes are already on the state system, so anybody that looks up their voting precinct will know where they're supposed to report. If you haven't registered to vote yet, starting July 21st, you must register in person at the city clerk's office with your proof of residency in order to vote in the August 4th election. And my final note is This is an open primary on August 4th. You can only vote one political party and then the nonpartisan section of the ballot. So just remember to stay in your lane when you're voting and your ballot should be fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Clark.
Yes. Thank you, Cheryl, for that information. If you wouldn't mind sending me the text version of everything that you just said so that we might all share that on our own personal social medias as well, because it's all very important information. And it's I really appreciate you bringing to the table all the vacancies that are available in our city boards and commissions. And I would even invite people, I'm not sure how the other boards work it, but the way the arts board is if you're a member of the public and you come into our meetings, we treat you just like everybody else at the meeting. Of course, you don't get to vote, but there's an area for public comment where you can bring your ideas or your excitement or your enthusiasm. And of course, we're always looking for volunteers. So if you don't see a vacancy on the board of your choosing, you can go to every single meeting and you can participate during public comment. And I do suggest that you do that. You might see me sitting in on the ITAC meetings as they talk about police safety and body cameras. That sounds very interesting to me, and I'm very interested in introducing new technology into our government and how it's run as well. Which brings me to the summer reading program for the library. I actually will be participating with them this week. They are featuring, for this whole week, they're featuring fairy homes and garden gnomes. And I will be donating some fairy houses and some fairy house materials for our residents' children to decorate fairy homes on their own. We're going to do this social distance style. So my daughter Hazel and I are going to film a tutorial and we'll release that. And the library will be giving away these little fairy home kits that the children can pick up and they can follow along with us right on the video. So I'm very excited to be participating in that. The last thing that I want to mention, because I've been getting a lot of comments from residents of all races about our city's police department featuring the thin blue line decals and the flag at the police station. So I would like to make a suggestion, and I feel like it's been brought up at a meeting before I was on council, that the police department would remove those, because while the term thin blue line has been around for a long time, branding is a direct response to the Black Lives Matter movement, and our Black residents and our residents of color find it extremely offensive and racist for our city departments to be posting it anywhere. Our city police department does an amazing job of protecting our residents, and it's not an area of concern for us for them to be treating people poorly. But when they have that on the outside as a reflection of what might be on the inside, it's scary for a lot of our residents of color. The last thing, I just want to thank Tony Austin for jumping on tonight with all his kind words. I had the pleasure of listening to him moderate a conversation on race that was hosted by the Madison Heights Citizens United Committee. That's a grassroots organization you can find on Facebook. They're doing great things with bringing people together in the community to talk about race, to get with other grassroots organizations like the Madison Heights Anti-Racist Coalition, to come up with ways to reach residents to help make them feel more safe, and to come up with ideas for our city government to find some discrepancies in our city laws that might be making people feel unsafe in our city. So I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation in our city. And thank you, Tony Austin, for also being a part of it. I really appreciate you. And that's it for me tonight.
Great, thank you. Councilman Soltis, you're up.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, I just want to thank our frontline responders, the police and fire, who have done an absolute fantastic job during this whole pandemic. I think the whole city is greatly appreciative of your courage and your selfless assistance, because when the infection numbers went up, you were called more often. And each call, you don't know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And with the COVID, you don't know exactly who has this virus, and that puts you potentially in harm's way every single run. So from all of us in Madison Heights, we thank police and our paramedics. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to echo a lot of what was said tonight. I think at our last meeting, where we were actually all physically here, we were approving something for the fire department to help them with decontamination for disinfecting because of COVID. And even at that point, I don't think any of us, I know I didn't, but I don't think any of us realized how scary and real and dangerous and fatal that this disease, this virus, it's still unknown. It's still, I don't think any of us realized how horrible it really was. I think I was still at the wash your hands and just be careful. It's not much more than a flu phase. So I'm definitely over that. Definitely, unfortunately, I have learned. And so, yes, I think that our emergency personnel, everything that they're doing, they're the first line responders. They're the ones who are dealing with this. So tonight we appointed Eve from her alternate seat to the vacancy on the ECC. And actually this morning the ECC had a meeting. We had a great update from her. She was talking about what's going on with the Bloom Project garden that they've planted at Reval Park, and with the Victory Garden that's being planted over by 13 Mile. She's extremely active, and I'm very happy that she has been made a member. We work with the ECC similar to what Councilwoman Clark was saying, that if there are members of the public who want to speak and they have something to say, we do want to hear their ideas. But we have, Clerk listed off all these different vacancies. So if you have an interest in whether it's in ITech or the Arts Board, the environment, we've got the active adults, the library, there just are so many ways that you can participate. And if you're on one of those boards and you feel that you've really been contributing and you're up for renewal, and then resubmit it. Or maybe you think that, this wasn't quite what you thought it was, and there's another board or commission that you want to. We've had 2 resignations tonight from the Arts Board. I don't know the specifics with them, but I know what I have heard from a couple of people who had to resign from the ECC is they can't make the time commitment. So thank you to those people who are recognizing that this is, a lot of these things are time commitments. It's, we might only meet once a month or a quarter or however often it is, but we want to make sure that we are still doing things even in between those meetings. So again, hats off to Eve for everything that she's done. One of the things that we talked about this morning as well was a water challenge that Madison Heights is going to be participating in August. It was initially supposed to be in April, and it got canceled because of COVID. So now it is in August. We're actually reaching out to our neighboring cities to see if they're interested in joining us to complete in a friendly challenge. And I'm excited to see what we can do with that. Councillor Rohrbach, you're going to learn a lot about water in August. Actually, last year I attended MSU's water school, and it was a 2-day event actually held at the fire station here. And I learned a lot about water. And from that, I made a contact there that led to us getting a grant for rain gardens. And rain gardens, if you're not aware, are a cost-effective way to reduce flooding. And I know on Friday night, I sat and looked out my window and watched the water crawling up the driveway. And I had people contacting me, and I explained very much the way that you did, the way that the system works. And for those of you who aren't aware, I have in front of, on my right of way, I don't have, I've got maybe half grass. The other half is garden. It's different plants. And my husband said, so maybe we should just dig down deeper and do a bioswale. And I said, well, maybe, but let's see. But it would be great if we could get rain gardens throughout the city. It really would help reduce the water. So yeah, so that's great. I'd love to see them across the water. It was interesting, this water school. And I think there was somebody from Royal Oak who was there, but everyone else seemed to be from farther away. Someone came in from Lansing. That might have been one of the people who was presenting though. And it was great though to be able to talk to different local officials about the different concerns that they had, which were similar to mine, and some of them were different. And I thought, when I first started on council, I was the lone new member, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about all the different issues that are important to local government. You come on like any new job and you know a certain amount, but there's always so much more to learn. So I wanted to get up to speed with all my colleagues, and I spent a lot of time over the last couple of years with courses and workshops, and they've proved to be beneficial in dealing with a variety of different topics like municipal finance and fundamentals of planning, zoning, emergency preparedness, and so many more. But that's me. I've always been a firm believer in lifelong learning. And it was actually a common theme when I served on the SEMCOG Work Skills Task Force last year. But I fully believe that learning opens the doors to more opportunities. Back to the ECC, we also got an update on the DDA tree planting. So that is scheduled for the fall. And as we get closer to that date, I will have more information, but for right now, it's a few months out. Sometimes I feel like all I talk about are trees and gardens and nature, but I think in part it's because those are relatively low cost ways that we can improve our health and our safety in the city. And I'm an economist. I understand the long-term effects of our policies and our budgets, and we need to be prudent in our large expenses and save them for areas where we don't want to be frugal. Things like hiring our emergency personnel and then ensuring they have the necessary support. You know, we just spent $32,000 on something called a Lucas 3, which is something that we need. Our EMS and our fire department needs that. And I want to make sure that we have the money there for the important things like that. And making sure that we're doing everything we can to care for our residents, especially now. You know, the coronavirus pandemic has really exposed the number of financially and medically vulnerable people that we have in our city. And then adding to these health and financial concerns, as has been mentioned, we're also on the brink of a civil rights movement. So in all that we do to help our residents move through this trifecta of transformation, you know, we need to ensure that the voices of all our residents are heard. It needs to be regardless of race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, country of origin, whatever, everybody needs to be heard. And as requested by myself and other members of council, staff is looking into a new board to address these human rights. But it's more than just this board. I want us to look at setting up some kind of a formal ethics policy. We need to ensure that going forward, our policies are going to recognize these embedded discriminations. We need to ensure that we're having constructive conversations and that we're looking for solutions. We're not just brushing things off. To really be inclusive, we need to listen and we need to learn. You know, we need to listen to other people who have experiences that are different from ourselves. No one has ever told me that the person I want to love is wrong. No one's ever told me that. And I couldn't imagine my parents telling me that. I'm Jewish and I'm married to a guy who's not. And I know people who have that situation. Yep, you look the same, but I know people who, you know what, you're with a black guy and it's not okay. And their parents, their families have disowned them. And this whole conversion that someone would say to a child, it's not okay that you find someone of your gender attractive. It just, to say that to anyone, not just a child, that's my implicit bias. That's the way I was brought up. I was brought up that love is love and it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter the gender. It doesn't matter your religion. If you're with a person who is a good person who treats you well, that's all that matters. And that's how I was brought up. That's how the people around me were brought up, regardless of their religions. Everyone I knew, or everyone I think I knew. But we need to listen to people who were brought up differently, because that's apparently not the norm. There are families, there are people who feel that way. There are people who are disowned for who they love. And we have other biases that we're not even aware of. You know, we need to take the uncomfortable step and face our own unconscious biases. And, you know, I have been learning lately, just with everything going on, when you look in the news and when you hear the stories, and when I talk to people in the city and in the surrounding communities, and we have so many financial and health problems that really have their roots in the systematic racism and sexism that is just, it's so embedded in our culture that even those who want to see change inadvertently continue to perpetuate these biases, whether it's conscious or not. So anyways, to that end, I invite everyone in the city to participate in the water challenge, and hopefully, Mrs. Marsh, we can get some kind of link up on our website. I look forward to working with everyone on the city. I'm hoping that we can bring in other boards and commissions to work with us. Perhaps the Arts Board can come up with some kind of a fun arts challenge. The Active Adult Center might be able to contribute in some way as well. But really, I'm looking for something. I think that water is something that can bring us together. We all drink it, we all bathe in it. It's a necessity for all of us. So looking for fun activities. I'm open to suggestions. I want to thank everybody for your participation tonight. Our next meeting is Monday, July 27th. I believe it will once again be virtual on Zoom. The time is now 8:48. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Good night.